name is Salvador. I am a tech journalist and I have the privilege to be your host today. And this time we're going to take a closer look about what is going on the supply chain industry. The companies are facing new challenges. Many things changed last year, this year, and the next. So if you feel like this is so fast, it's a process, we understand and we feel that way. So you're in the right place. And today we have speakers from Coupa, a leading company in this field, and they will answer several questions of this in this present scenario. I want to welcome Michael Van Kulen. He is a CPO of Global Coupa. Michael, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And sharing the screen, there is also Rafael Vasquez. He is a VP Services and Management from Coupa Latin America. Hola, Rafael. Welcome.
Hola. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you guys here with us. And there are really two heavy leaders in the industry. So let's get started because there are so many questions. And there is one for you, Michael. I want to start. How do you think the supply chain market, how do you think it has been transformed by this current situation going on?
Yeah, great question. Look, I mean, of course, we all know what happened over the past 18 months, so we don't have to dwell on that. But it is important that we, kind of put a couple things into perspective, right? I mean, of course, we had COVID. It happened to us in March of last year. Lots of companies were trying to figure out, like, what does this mean for my supply chain? What does it mean for my suppliers? And that has continued and even continues today. But in addition to that, we've seen other disruptive events happen. We've had this now. We've seen shortages in raw materials. We've seen price hikes in container costs. We've seen natural disasters, flooding, droughts, and we've seen a lot of different things. And so supply chain has just gone through a lot of different disruptive events over the past 18 months. And I think what it has made us realize, all of us, is one, how interconnected everything is and how important it is that we are really, really close to our suppliers, what those suppliers mean for our own environment, what the interconnectedness is between all those suppliers, and how do we, from a supply chain and procurement perspective, how can we help push our companies forward? How can we help manage risk? And how can we build that resilience and agility that is required to react to whatever is going on in the supply chain? So I think that those are really like looking back a little bit, but also where we are today. And I'm sure we're going to talk about, what we should be focusing on over the next, foreseeable future.
Yes, there is a lot. And Rafa, do you think it's possible to keep all practices in this current situation?
Not really, and I definitely have to agree with Mike. I think supply chains are now focused primarily on resilience and agility, and I will say even performance. So the traditional or old practices of trying to minimize costs, optimize costs, just think on periodic projects like one-time events, it's really not gonna take companies to the place they need to be. So we really need to start focusing on value creation. It's not all about cost. It's actually how to create value for the end customer as well. Most of the disruptions we are seeing, besides the events that Mike was mentioning, are also coming from the changes on the consumer trend. So we actually need to focus on the consumer and start to develop a process and a practice of a continuous evaluation, continuous design of our supply chains that will take us from seeing those ad hoc projects to pretty much creating value, creating short-term benefits, and also focus on kind of the regional collaboration between suppliers and customers. So how we can optimize our supply chains to kind of have a seamless process from sourcing, production, and then distribution at the end, right? So it's pretty much evolving to the next level of creating value, creating a continuous evaluation of our supply chain, and definitely going beyond just cost minimization or even beyond just the supply chain topic. I mean, we need to involve all the other areas, the commercial area, procurement, marketing, finance. Everyone needs to be aligned under the same strategy.
Create value. Sounds like easy, but it's not. Michael, what are the paths that companies need to take in order, to adjust to today's needs?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think the way that I've always positioned procurement in my past, and I've been in procurement and transformative procurement projects for the past decade or so, is I've always tried to position procurement as a value driver, as exactly what Rafa was just describing. And what that means is we need to stop talking about cost, and we need to stop talking about cost reduction. Cost is an outcome, and cost is one of the elements that procurement brings to the table. So what I mean with that is we need to start thinking about risk. And when we think about risk, we need to think about cybersecurity. We need to think about business continuity. We need to think about things like ESG, environment, social governance. We need to think about those types of things, but we also just need to think about things like reliance, and we need to think about agility. And so those are all value drivers that procurement brings to the table. It's no longer just about the cost of buying widgets. We're no longer just very tactical and operational. We should really be focusing on the entire ecosystem of what procurement brings to the table. And that includes building strong relationships with your suppliers. That includes driving innovation through your supply chain. It drives things like category management, demand management. All of those things are value drivers and not per se just focused on the cost of whatever it is that you're buying.
Wow. You mentioned flexibility, resilience. There are key words. And this question is for Rafa. What adjustments did Coupa make to these services to help companies react on this pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we even prior to the pandemic, Coupa has been investing in creating and continue to develop a platform that can help our customers pretty much increase the speed to capture those benefits, to capture that value, reduce the time of deployment these type of technologies, and accelerate the way they can get answers and evolve their internal processes. So talking about specifically on the supply chain side of our business, we pretty much have been developing what we call the Coupa digital twin, which is basically the part of our platform that helps our customers make faster and smarter supply chain decisions. And a part of our flexibility has been helping our customers to deploy these solutions faster. We have been even changing our own internal processes to even develop or deploy these processes and these implementations in a remote way, taking advantage of our cloud platform. And I think that's been a great journey together with all of our customers. In a way we could achieve and we could help them in the middle of the pandemic when everything was locked down. We're actually delivering value and delivering these implementations that at the same time we're helping our customers take these smarter and faster decisions they needed to make on the spot.
But it wasn't easy for you as well, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not easy. I mean, it all comes down to our technologies and our people, like the resilience and the flexibility we had as a company to actually achieve this type of objectives was massive. And of course, I mean, in the middle of everything that was happening, we even had more companies beyond our customers, prospects, wanting to get into this type of support and in the transformations for the supply chain. So we had to balance that demand and doing everything remotely. I think that's the best example we can see that the technology is here to stay and is gonna continue to evolve to support customers on the decisions they are making on their supply chains.
And if I may just chime in on what Rafa just described, I think where Coupa really accelerates and where we really help these companies get through the current climate is helping to break down those silos, right? So if you think about what we do is we go upstream with supply chain and sourcing and really help companies optimize their supply chain. But then what we also do is we break down the traditional silos with what I just described, risk, right? We de-risk the supply chain. we allow and help companies to do that through our single suite of platform. And then we go even further downstream into the procure to pay, where you collaborate with the financial departments out there to look at your cash flow, to optimize your cash flow, reduce administrative complexity, increase compliance, spend visibility. I mean, any CFO today loves having full end-to-end spend visibility. And then even if you go further downstream, when it comes to ESG and you're head of sustainability, and we bring all those business processes together in one single platform. So you have full end-to-end spend visibility. And so the timing of Coupa being here and having that solution out there, the timing could not have been better. Never waste a crisis, as we say. And this is the perfect time for us to help elevate that practice of procurement.
And is a perfect time also to use flexibility, which is a word I think defines Coupa. How do you think this flexibility apply to business?
Yeah, I mean, the way we look at it is like we are in the business of what we call business spend management, right? And so every company out there, what they want to do today is they want to optimize the value of every dollar that they spend. And if you look at what we provide a platform that helps companies, as I just said, to go from designing and optimizing a supply chain through a digital twin to then say, okay, now I know what the optimal outcome is. Now I can actually turn it into a sourcing event, right? I can go out into the market and based upon my requirements, find those suppliers or supplier that can help me based upon my business requirements, provide what it is that I'm looking for to execute against my strategic objectives. So that's the sourcing event that turns into a contract. But what you then want to do is you want the entire business to start spending against that contract. So where often procurement fails is we do source to contract, and then we turn over the contract to the business and say, good luck, and we see you in 3 years when that contract is up for renewal. But what we want is execution against the contract. And unless you have that ability to help enable businesses to execute against the contract, then value very quickly disappears. And then the CFO says, where are all those savings procurement? I cannot find those savings. And so what we really try to do is break down all those silos and really optimize the value in the entire supply chain, all the way from sourcing to contracting to downstream procure to pay, and then managing risk and then managing your spend to the maximum of its potential. That's what Coupa does.
That's what Coupa does, and they did very well. Rafa, now let's move to Lamasoft. How do you think this company add value and innovation to Coupa?
Well, I have to say the cultures of both companies prior to acquisition were actually pretty similar. I mean, I would say Coupa was already a very innovative organization as well. So I think there was a seamless connection there. And basically what we did through the integration was bringing all the expertise, all the proprietary algorithms and artificial intelligence we had focused on the supply chain design part of our business and integrated into the Coupa platform to actually go back to what Mike was describing on eliminating the silos and actually bringing together a very powerful platform that can help customers have the visibility they need to make the right decisions and increase their flexibility at the moment they start facing disruptions on the market.
Yeah, and if I may, sorry to chime in here, but at the end of the day, it is all going to be about data and what we call community intelligence, right? And so if you think about, again, about what the company that we work for does is we now have over 2,000 customers. We have 7 million suppliers transacting on our Coupa platform every single day. We manage $3 trillion worth of spend. That spend is anonymized. And now what we actually are able to do is we provide meaningful intelligence based upon that incredible data set back to all of our customers. So what the platform allows you to do is it prescribes to every single customer where they have opportunity to increase their efficiency, be faster, drive more spend under contract, have more structured spend, electronic invoicing, reduction in administrative burden. And we're able to do that in a single data set. So it's the power of that community is really where it's going and where we've been for the past 10 years. And that really allows all of our customers to constantly extract more value out of their spending.
It all comes to technology, finally, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of people, process, and technology. It's all those three. It's not one of them. It always, and I've done this many times in my career, it always comes down to that. If you got the right technology, but you don't have the right operating model, you don't have the right process, not the right people, then the technology will get you only so far. In order to really optimize, you need to have the right people, which in procurement is extremely important, that have the right level of emotional intelligence, digital fluency, that really understand how to engage and build partnerships. Very different than what procurement was 10, 15 years ago, right? Where it was very much, negotiation and beating suppliers on the head until they cave. So people are changing very rapidly. Digital is a component of that, absolutely. You need to have the right car to win a Formula One race, right? I'm a big F1 fan. So really important to have the right car, which is the digital component. And then operationalization of your procurement process is extremely important. If you don't do those three things together and you do them at the right level, then I guarantee you that you're going to extract a lot of value for the company that you serve.
Yeah, choosing the right car. Yeah,
it's
I will
like
add
choosing the right
one
partner.
Right. Yeah. Sorry about that. I will just add one additional component, which is actually part of the work we also do with our customers, and is the alignment of the strategy. So there's definitely not a one size fits all when it comes to people, process, and technology, and the customers or the companies need to actually make sure their final strategy is aligned with those processes and where they want to go. Sometimes we see customers trying to fit some trends from the industry that they are seeing out there, but maybe the strategy of those other companies won't actually fit what they are trying to achieve. So we actually have those honest conversations with customers to primarily understand where they want to go, what's their strategy. Are they based on cost? Are they based on, delivery times, availability of their product? Is their brand pretty strong or not? And then define what will be the right processes, technology, and how to enable their people to take advantage of these implementations.
Yeah, many companies have integrated technology to their processes in a very accelerated way. And this is a question for Michael. How do you think is going to help this in the future?
Yeah, like I just said, but what is really important is to realize that, data and having access to reliable data when you need it is extremely important. And I still believe that there's a lot of procurement functions out there that are doing what I call rear view mirror procurement, which is, you look back and say, well, we should not have spent this with XYZ supplier, or how did we know that this was the most competitive rate or the best quality or the best lead time, or, I think we do a lot of rear view mirror. And I think what the technology allows you to do is to be way more forward facing and really anticipating what's going on and trying to come up with what I would call like shoot cost scenarios, or really optimizing your supply chain, and based upon my reality determine what the right direction is for my company. So we need to be much more forward facing than reacting, right? And reacting being is what I call you're too late, now you're in a crisis. And we all know that when we're in crisis mode, we always make the worst decisions, right? So we really need to take ourselves out of reactionary mode and out of rear view mirror and be much more visionary. And the technology allows you to do that. So it's really important that you get that technology landscape correct, that you pick the right platform based upon your business requirements, based on adoption level, based upon innovation, based upon community intelligence, based upon all those different criteria that any practitioner knows how to run, but to really select the right technological landscape. And that allows you to unlock the value, and it allows you to react much, much quicker than, again, if you're stuck in, maybe an ERP environment where it's very, very difficult to understand what you're buying, who you're buying from, and to react to whatever comes next.
In Latin America, there are companies that are in the process to digital transformation. There are companies, they did almost anything 18 months ago. So it's something that is true. And Rafa, what do you think this company should do in order to take the next step?
I think following the framework we were just discussing, aligning those 4 pillars, strategy, people, process, and technology, that should be the next step. I think after they have a clear vision of the place they want to go, I think it's easy then to define those processes and how the technology can help them get there. And I really love to hear what Michael just said about even on the procurement side, how companies operate on the rear mirror, right? I think the same thing applies for the supply chain space. I think most of these companies are trying to work on their journeys of digital transformation, still have that same mentality of working from the historical decisions they made. So they need to understand or change that paradigm that we're going to be based our decisions in the past and rather start using the technology, the data, democratizing the visibility of the information they have from their business to start enabling or letting these new technologies help them to have a more prescriptive and predictive recommendations for the decisions they need to make going forward.
It's time for conclusions, guys, and there is a question for you both. What would be the best way to keep us updated, and how can Coupa help in those processes?
Yeah, I mean, one way is always, look me up on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to do it. And I'm happy to engage. I engage often with fellow practitioners out there and learn from each other. Yeah, because if there's one thing that is important to realize, we are on this interview with you, but of course there is a ton of knowledge out there. We at Coupa always say none of us is as smart as all of us. And that really means that what it says, right? I mean, together we will just drive better business outcomes. And so I always welcome dialogue. I always welcome conversation. We certainly don't want to come across as evangelical here. We are passionate. We love business spend management and supply chain. We believe that, this is the right time for us, practitioners in procurement to help move our companies forward. But look me up on LinkedIn. Also on our website, there's a ton of really great content, great blog posts, a lot of white papers. And if anybody wants to have a conversation, I'm sure I speak on behalf of Rafa and I'll let him answer as well. But, we always want to have conversation. And so we welcome it.
Definitely. And I would just add a little bit of the LATAM context as well. You guys hear what Mike explained about the community intelligence. I think that concept for Coupa even goes beyond the technology. So in LATAM, we basically have over 100 Latin American companies, customers that are already working with our technology, and over 40 other global companies with operations in the region. And they are all passionate about the Coupa concept, and they are always open to discuss and share experiences, share benchmarks. So that's the other part of the community intelligence that we can definitely provide to our prospects or other companies interested in knowing more about this topic. So definitely happy to discuss and agree with Mike. We are very open to share knowledge and connect with you all.
Guys, thank you very much for your time. We're going to leave it there. It was a great discussion. Michael and Rafael, I really appreciate what you are teaching us today, because I feel not only me, but a lot of business people, we feel like kind of lost in this transition that we were forcing to be. Yeah. So thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
And finally, thanks to you for watching us. This was Forbes Talks. I am Salvador Martí. It was have a great day and stay well.
Value doesn't drive itself. It needs a spark. It needs an engine. Business spend management is that engine. Coupa's BSM engine accelerates your team forward at full speed, gets you where you need to go, and brings everyone along to change business and change the world. One integrated engine connecting supply chain design and planning, sourcing, procurement of goods and services, payments and treasury, and all other areas of business spend management working together. Coupa's BSM engine empowers us to spend less time looking in the rear view and more time looking ahead. With Coupa's AI-powered community intelligence, we can benchmark ourselves against our peers, become more efficient, and deliver peak performance. Let's use BSM to not only change our businesses, but also change the world. We can design a more sustainable supply chain. We can minimize CO2 and waste. We can accelerate supplier diversity. Let's be more intentional. Let's be more inclusive. Let's unleash the power of business spend management to change our businesses and the world together.